Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today the Cincinnati Bengals have received a trade request from outside linebacker Germaine Pratt. This Bengals defense had such a bad year. We know that they had a lot of struggles. Maybe they got to, and maybe I would say maybe had some improvements at the end of the year. I sure really did think that in their final couple games, the defense started to look better. The final game against the Steelers, I thought the defense sure maybe made some plays that were bad, but didn't look terrible. I mean, so I really thought like the Broncos game, the big game where the overtime game, there was some big pass that Bo Nix made, but outside of that, I mean, they weren't getting absolutely murdered. Like the last three games, I think was, the last three games they played. I know their last two was the Broncos and the Steelers, and I think the last game before that was the Browns, and I know they played the Cowboys, and sure, those are some weaker teams, but the defense was starting to play a little bit better at the end of the season, but still it was a disaster for their defense this year. And one of the bright spots was Germaine Pratt, who started in all 17 games, had 2 interceptions, which he returned for 26 yards. He had 2 forced fumbles, which he recovered both those forced fumbles and returned those 2 fumble recoveries for 9 yards, had 143 tackles, which was the most on this Bengals defense, with 5 tackles for loss and 4 QB hits, was a very bright spot to this Bengals defense. And now the 29-year-old is, or 20, well, he's going to be 29 in May. So whoever gets him, whenever he plays, if they do decide to trade him and he's on a new team next year, he will be 29. He is 28 now, though. So 28 years old now, will be 29 next season, has requested a trade. And it'll be interesting to see who is potentially going to be eager to go after him. I don't know. I think there will be a couple teams that will be interested in going after him. But and are the Bengals willing to let go of him? I think if the Bengals, the key to this next offseason is, trying to improve the defense. And I think that has to be the key for a lot of AFC teams, because I think a lot of AFC teams need to see that we don't have to build a absolute fire offense to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, sure, the Eagles had a good offense with A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and Devontae Smith, but they were able to beat the Chiefs with Saquon Barkley having one of his worst games of his entire year, and mainly because of how dominant their defense was. So I think if you're the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Texans, and the Cincinnati Bengals of the league that already have solid offenses, or the Baltimore Ravens, don't look to improve the offense more. Well, maybe the Texans need to improve the offense a little bit more, add in some wide receivers. But I think teams like the Texans, Bills, Ravens, Bengals, who are trying to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs, though, teams like that, they need to go after more pass rushing, more defensive help, because we have seen in Patrick Mahomes' 2 Super Bowl losses against the Eagles and the Bucs what a elite defense will do to him. And I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty hard for the Chiefs to improve their offensive line in the offseason. I think their offensive line very well might be a train wreck again next season. So if you're the Bengals and you're the Texans or the Bills or the Ravens of the league that are trying to compete with the Chiefs, you want to have an elite defense. And the Bengals don't really help their defense by getting rid of a guy who was one of their top defenders this year outside of Hendrickson. I mean, there were some other soft performers, but I would say Pratt was probably one of their best defensive players this year outside of Hendrickson. And I don't know if you want to get rid of that. I actually don't know if he'll actually get traded at all. But I do know that there are going to be teams that will have interest in him. And like I said, I think for the teams like Cincinnati, Houston, and Buffalo and Baltimore, the best way I think to compete against Kansas City in the future is to just stack up the defense. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Bengals, Germaine Pratt requesting a trade in the comment section, and peace out.